Hello friends, so we've talked about the characteristics of a perfect competitive market. So now let's look at how a perfect competitive market can maximize profit. What is profit? Profit is basically the difference between revenue and cost. In other words, profit is the reward to the entrepreneur. If you remember, we have different factors of production. We have land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. The reward for the entrepreneur is the profit. So profit can be increased by either increasing total revenue or by reducing total cost. Why? Because profit is total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is the income you receive when you sell your good, and total cost is the cost you incurred in producing the good. So total revenue basically can also be calculated by multiplying the quantity sold by the price. So it's quantity sold times price. What about total cost? Total cost is the average cost times quantity produced. So to increase your profit, you either increase your total revenue by selling more or increasing your price, or reduce your total cost by decreasing your average cost. Specifically, decreasing your average cost. You cannot reduce your total quantity produced and expect your total revenue to increase. No. So for reducing the total cost, you have to reduce rather your average cost. So to increase the revenue, it is better to either increase your total quantity or you increase the price. All right. So let's look at them short run equilibrium. Equilibrium. I believe you've heard the word equilibrium before. Equilibrium is a stable condition in the operation of a firm such that there is no tendency for the firm to expand or contract output. So equilibrium is a point where there is stability. At equilibrium, we have a price that does not really change and a quantity that does not really change. In a perfect competitive market, there are two conditions for a firm to be considered to be in equilibrium. The first condition is called the necessary condition. This condition states that the marginal cost should be equal to the marginal revenue. This condition is not enough, so we add the sufficient condition. The sufficient condition states that when the marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, marginal cost must be rising. Marginal cost must have a rising trend. That is the sufficient condition. In a perfect competitive market, I would like you to note that the average revenue, which is also equal to the price, is always equal to the marginal revenue. Let's look at the curve. This is a typical perfect competitive firm. This is the price and quantity 1, quantity 2. From where you sit, can you determine the equilibrium point? The necessary condition is marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. And this is the marginal revenue is a horizontal line, is also equal to the average revenue. At this point, at point A, we realize that marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. But at this quantity is a very low quantity, quantity 1. This is not the equilibrium point or the profit maximizing point. Why? Because after A, we see marginal cost falling. But the sufficient condition states that marginal cost must be rising or must tend to rise. So the equilibrium or profit maximizing point is point B, where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost and marginal cost tends to rise. I believe it's very understandable. So there are just some few things I would like us to note in the short run. In the short run, a perfect competitive firm can make supernormal profit or abnormal profit. Also, it can make a normal profit, which is also called a break even, and it can make losses, which is sometimes called the subnormal profit. This is a good place to pause, and so that we continue in the next slide. Thank you for your attention.